And we cannot lose sight of the fact that there are 19 families who went to bed last night with 19 empty beds. And the governor has the gall to say that this is about mental health. Shame on him.
Congressman, let's talk about that NRA meeting, which is Friday. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Senator Ted Cruz, they've all been invited to speak. In the meantime, we do know that Senator Ted Cruz, I believe, took $300,000 for his campaign from the NRA. What do you have to say about lawmakers taking money from the NRA? What do you have to say to the NRA right now in general?
They've got blood on their hands. I mean, I don't know any nicer way to say it. They are advocating not for the interests of children, not for the interests of public safety. They're advocating for the interests of gun manufacturers. All of us in this line of work have people who come to our offices and ask for our help. Sometimes they financially support our campaign, sometimes they don't. But all of us in this office ultimately have the responsibility to say, did I listen to everybody out there, and did I take those equities into account? If we blame the NRA on corrupting Ted Cruz for this, we are giving Ted Cruz a pass. Ted Cruz, as a human being, does not care that children are dying, and you can tell by his votes. The NRA is giving him money because they know he supports them. It's not the other way around.
Why has it been so difficult to stand up to the gun lobby in America? Why? When it comes to members of Congress doing something about this, why has nothing been done?
Well, I'd challenge the assertion that nothing's been done. We have in the House passed numerous bills, from assault weapons bans to background checks, closing the Charleston loophole. I've led an effort in my office to do a comprehensive set of gun regulation reforms, from dealing with gun trafficking to making sure that children don't have access to guns. We've passed a lot of these things on the House floor. The Senate has not even bothered to vote on them. The reason they haven't bothered to vote on them is because they think it's more important to preserve the rights of 40 senators to filibuster a bill than they do to protect all of our nation's children. It's a structural defect in the Senate. But the American people want this. The House has acted on it. And as long as we have members in the Senate, I don't care what party it is, as long as we have sitting United States senators who think that doing what the American people want, doing what the majority wants, doing what our founders intended, and solving hard questions by deferring to the will of the majority is not in their interest, that is where the problem lies. We either get rid of the filibuster, or every senator who is voting to keep the filibuster should be on the phone every day with everybody who got shot and say, this is my fault, I am wrong, I'm responsible, but I'm too cowardly to change a dumb Jim Crow Senate rule. I'm sorry if I'm overspeaking this, but I don't want to do these conversations again.
No, overspeak it. As a journalist, I don't want to cover these stories anymore. I have a 9-year-old at home. I don't want to cover mass shootings. I don't want to cover school shootings anymore. So go ahead, overspeak it.
No, look, I have 2 teenage girls. One of them motivated at her school out of her own initiative to bring in some local groups to do a Stop the Bleed training, where they brought EMTs in to train teenagers how to pack a wound, how to reach their finger in a wound, feel where the artery was, which way the blood was flowing, put pressure on that, insert pressure in. The reason they did that is because they found that too often in these mass shootings, the first responders are not the EMTs because they can't get in because the doors are locked. It's the other people who are hunkered down with them. I both have tremendous pride that my daughter took the initiative to organize that, and tremendous shame that we as a country are making it the responsibility of 15, 16, 17-year-old kids to do what sitting United States senators don't have the courage to do themselves. Who are we? And I don't want to hear anybody say they have thoughts and prayers. You know, and thoughts and prayers is a way of saying I don't give a damn. You are a sitting United States senator. You have the ability to act, and all you're going to do is offer thoughts and prayers. Get out of the damn job. Let somebody come in who can lead, because clearly you can't.
So in the meantime, there are 21 families who will not be saying goodnight to their loved ones tonight. What do you say to those families? What do you say to all of the victims of gun violence in America?
I don't know how to say anything that hasn't been said 1,000 times before and has been far too ineffectual. Until we acknowledge the fact that our country has too many guns, until we acknowledge the fact that that the minoritarian institutions in our country, the Senate was not designed to represent the majority of the American people. It was designed to overrepresent the southern states to preserve slavery. That was the Great Compromise of 1789. The Supreme Court was appointed by them, and they upheld rules that violated the will of what the majority of the American people want. Now, I'm in the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives, by design, represents the majority will of the American people, and we've got the votes there. But until we confront the structural problems that are in the Senate, that are in the Supreme Court, we're in a position of making excuses. And we have to be forceful about that. We have to be forceful about that in ways that don't say, I'm only going to yell at people if they're in my party. I'm only going to knock doors if they're in my party. We have to act. And we're doing everything we can in the chamber that I serve in. But as you said, we've got 21 reasons yesterday that what we're doing is not nearly enough.
In the meantime, Congressman, President Biden's nominee for director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is having his confirmation hearing today. There hasn't been an ATF director confirmed for years now. This is an agency that is relatively small. Obviously, there is a lack of funding for this agency. What has the holdup been year after year after year?
I think it all comes back to what we've been saying before. There's a genuine reluctance among a minority of the country, but a controlling minority of the U.S. Senate to block anyone that would put sensible gun reforms in place. I mean, we had to go last term. We've been working forever just to change the rules, because we've got rules that the CDC is not even allowed to study the causes of gun violence. So we can't look at this epidemiologically and take the kinds of protections we want, which is why Governor Abbott is saying these crazy things about mental health. He's making it up. But if you look at the actual data, if we could get the CDC to do it, what we know is that the overwhelming majority of people who commit these mass shootings are white men between 18 and 45 years old with a history of domestic violence. Let's treat that as an epidemiological issue and say, how do we find these people who are the perpetrators of these crimes, and how do we take guns out of their hands so that they can't go and kill people? That's the kind of things we would do if we were focused on doing what the American people want, if we were focused on doing things to make sure that people don't get killed. And instead, we have people saying what's most important is that we sell more guns. Keep this in mind. If we got rid of 50% of all the guns in the country tomorrow, we would still have more guns per capita than any other country in the world.